In the heart of the unforgiving Hürtgen Forest, where silence is broken only by the whispering of the wind through the towering trees, there lies a place steeped in both legend and tragedy. This place was once called the America's Meat Grinder, a grim testament to the horrors of war. At the heart of this ominous landscape stands Hill 400, a silent sentinel bearing witness to the bloodiest chapter of World War II. The Hürtgen Forest is located 5 kilometers east of the Belgian-German border. Hill 400 overlooks Schmidt to the southwest and the Roer River Valley to the east, with the town of Bergstein sitting at its base. Its steepest slope is at a 45-degree angle, and the surrounding forest is dense with evergreens. Along with allowing the Germans to see Allied movements, the location ensured the successful launch of counterattacks. General Walter Weaver, commander of the 8th Division, asked V Corps Commander General Leonard Jarrow for Rangers to help in his upcoming assault on Hill 400. The men of the 2nd Ranger Battalion were veterans of D-Day, having landed on Omaha Beach and scaled Pointe du Hoc. Jarrow released the Rangers and they were trucked to Bergstein. The Rangers arrived in Bergstein. Lieutenant Colonel James Rudder devised the plan that would lead the Rangers onto Hill 400. The battalion was divided into 3 forces, each with its own tasks. D and F companies were to directly attack the hill, while A, B, and C companies were to attack and secure Bergstein. We are now in the small town of Bergstein, standing by its historic church. This church holds a unique place in history, having been used as an aid station by American forces to treat wounded soldiers during the battle. As you explore, you can still see the battle damage on various parts of the church.
December 7th, 1944 was the worst day of my life. People say D-Day was the longest day, but I was there too, and it was much easier on me than Hill 400 in the Hürtgen Forest. 5,000 men had already tried to capture the hill and the town below. We passed their bodies and burned out tanks on the way in. In the early afternoon of the 8th of December, the Rangers were being relieved by units of the 8th Division. At 4:10 p.m., while awaiting his relief, Doc Bloch stepped outside a former church, now the battalion's aid station. He heard moans. Spotting a wounded German from the last German counterattack, he moved towards the German when a shell powerfully enough to dislodge tombstones in the churchyard exploded above him and drove him to the ground. He was dead before he hit the ground.
This is indeed a tragic story, and sadly it's not the only one. We will now proceed to the location where the attack on the hill began. We have now arrived at the approximate location where the 2 companies began their attack on the hill. From this sunken lane, they had to cross the open field, which was no easy task. At dawn, under a quick and crisp barrage that caught the Germans by surprise, Major Williams launched the 2 companies across an open field and up the heights. Using 1 company's covering fire to support the attack, Companies D and F, a total of 65 Rangers, moved out from their positions where we stand now. Despite the intense American artillery barrage, the German troops of the 272nd Volksgrenadier Division reacted like seasoned veterans, scrambling to their positions. Sid Salomon, commanding B Company, observed the German response closely.
The enemy defenders immediately became alert. A red flare shot into the air from an enemy outpost. Shortly thereafter, a heavy mortar and artillery barrage came down on the assaulting Rangers. Heavy, small arms and machine gun fire was directed on the rushing Rangers. Casualties on both sides began to mount. A creeping German artillery barrage behind the assaulting Rangers produced more Ranger casualties. The enemy offered stiff resistance.
Finally arriving at the foot of the hill, the Rangers, undeterred by casualties and the loss of their comrades, pressed on with unwavering determination. The attack strategy was divided, with Company F heading northeast to confront their next challenge. This structure is known as the German Commando Bunker, though little is known about the specific attack on it by Company F. The evidence of fierce fighting is clear from the battle damage visible at the entrances. Let me provide you with a brief tour of the bunker and some additional information. The bunker served as a command post for strategic planning and coordination of military operations in the area. It housed the commander and staff responsible for overseeing and directing defense efforts and troop movements. Typical of West Wall bunkers, Commando Bunker 370 was likely built of reinforced concrete to withstand heavy bombardment. With a rectangular footprint of approximately 7.5 x 20 meters, it contained 8 rooms, including communication and workspaces, and possibly quarters for personnel. Regelbau 31 was designed to be operated by a crew of 32 men. The bunker played a crucial role in the German defense. Hill 400 was vital due to the commanding view it provided over the surrounding terrain, making control of the hill essential for both sides.
The enemy defenses which attempted to hold the attack of Company F was soon shattered when Captain Masny, the company commander of Company F, put his big foot against the pillbox door, broke it down, threw in 1 grenade, and out came 12 prisoners.
Colonel Georg Kosmala ordered artillery fire on his own regimental command post. Despite this, advancing Allied pioneers eventually destroyed the bunker. We now began climbing the hill ourselves. Here are 2 reports from Private First Class Melvin Bud Potratz.
Using the butt of my rifle, I began to climb the steep, treacherous hill. Machine gun bullets pelted the ground all around me. I believed I must be the only survivor because I didn't see anyone else. I was with the 1st Platoon of D Company in making the charge up Hill 400 on December 7, 1944. There was only 6 of us from my squad that made the assault. About 8 from the other squad. We called them assault sections in the Rangers. We were badly under strength, but we were successful in taking the hill from the Jerrys. I was wounded on the morning of the 8th, but hung in there as we had so few men left. A lot of Rangers were wounded, and many died of wounds from shrapnel. The days on Hill 400 were the most compelling days of my entire life.
We have now reached the top of the hill. Company D successfully captured the hill when they received orders to dig in at the hilltop. Beginning their entrenchment at 0835 hours, the troops struggled with the frozen rocky ground, making progress slow and laborious. Just as the defensive positions were taking shape, enemy artillery fire concentrated on the hilltop. The enemy, directing observed fire from 3 sides of the perimeter, utilized 88mm guns, 75mm self-propelled guns, and 120mm mortars. Tree and ground bursts inflicted the extreme casualties of the operation at this time. At the summit of the hill, the Krawutschka Tower stands. Ascending the tower rewards visitors with a breathtaking panorama, revealing the strategic significance this hill held for both German and American forces. Hill 400 provided a commanding view of the surrounding area, including the crucial Roer River plain. Controlling the hill enabled forces to observe and direct artillery fire over a vast expanse, significantly impacting both defensive and offensive operations. The battle for the Hürtgen Forest was one of the longest and bloodiest engagements on the Western Front. Securing Hill 400 was essential for achieving dominance in this region, as it allowed for superior coordination and planning of military operations within the forest. Control of this high ground was pivotal for the success of broader strategic objectives in the area.
I'm standing on one of the bunkers right now where the photo of the German Hauptmann was taken. And as you can see, it's been fully taken over by nature. And I'm going to look for the place where the photo was taken and maybe compare it, so I can make a great shot about it.
Somewhere here is a compelling photograph taken at the bunker in late November 1944. We witness a group of German soldiers, among them Hauptmann Adolf Thomai, with his staff from the 2nd Battalion, Grenadier Regiment 980, 272nd Volksgrenadier Division. The battalion was stationed in a reserve position east of the village of Bergstein when they came under attack.
Ich stand auf dem Hügel, ein Zeuge des heftigen Angriffs, als das 2. Ranger-Bataillon ihren kühnen Angriff gegen unsere Position startete. Inmitten des Chaos des Kampfes drängten die Rangers vorwärts und zwangen uns in unseren Bunker zurückzuziehen. In einem verzweifelten Versuch, den Angriff abzuwehren, riefen die Deutschen einen verheerenden Artilleriebeschuss auf unseren Bunker herab.
Let's unfold the next story that occurred at the same time and place.
Private William Anderson, Sergeant Petty, and Private First Class Cloyes Manning were the first F Company men to reach the summit of Hill 400. As they crested the hill, they spotted an enemy bunker with steel doors. Petty, armed with his Browning automatic rifle, bar into an aperture and emptied a 20-round magazine. The Germans called in an artillery strike on their own bunker in a desperate attempt to repel the attackers. Anderson hurled a couple of grenades into the bunker. Just then a shell exploded above him, and he was killed instantly, never knowing what hit him. The tragedy didn't end there. In the chaos of battle, William's brother, Jack D. Anderson, was also fighting valiantly nearby. Unbeknownst to each other, the brothers were caught in the same ferocious artillery barrage. Jack, too, was struck by shrapnel and killed. In the heat of battle, 2 brothers fell not far from each other, their lives cut short by the same brutal conflict.
The first of 5 German counterattacks during the next 2 days hit the Rangers at 0930. In each assault, the German force numbered between 100 and 150 men. Most of the attacks developed from the south and east, where wooded areas close to the hill's base allowed a company of German paratroopers to launch the assault. By noon, 2 of the Ranger companies mustered only 32 men. The survivors of D Company lost their commanding officer just before the German counterattacks began. Captain Masney was captured attempting to move down the hill to bring up more reinforcements. Lomel was the sole officer of D Company still standing. Lomel was also wounded, his left index finger almost severed and bleeding from the ears from the concussions of the artillery barrage. General Weaver was unable to disengage any troops to relieve the Ranger Battalion. Stuck on the hill, the Rangers threw back every German counterattack over the next 40 hours. According to captured German records, Field Marshal Walter Model had offered Iron Crosses and a 2-week furlough to any Germans who recaptured the hill.
By 1600 hours, the Rangers had only 25 men left on top of Hill 400. We had stopped another counterattack, but if the Germans had known how many men, or really how few we had up there, they would have kept coming, reflected Lomel.
By nightfall on December 8th, the Rangers were finally relieved. During 40 hours of intense fighting by units of the 8th Infantry Division, the 2nd Ranger Battalion had lost 107 men wounded, 19 killed, and 4 missing, a quarter of their original strength. But the Rangers had seized Hill 400, the first American unit to do so in the 4-month battle. Unfortunately, 9 days later, the Germans retook the hill from the 13th Regiment. The U.S. Army would not seize Hill 400 again until February 1945. As we conclude our journey through the history of Hill 400, we remember the bravery and resilience of the soldiers who fought here. The Battle of Hürtgen Forest, often overshadowed by larger battles of World War II, stands as a stark reminder of the brutal realities of war and the profound human cost of conflict. Hill 400, with its strategic importance and the fierce fighting it witnessed, symbolizes the courage and sacrifice of those who served. May we honor their memory by preserving these stories and learning from the past, ensuring that the lessons of history guide us toward a more peaceful future. Thank you for watching.